It is Saturday morning, the last day in April, and we have this here in Sweden we have this fireworks this evening when it's like taking out the winter time it's like burning the witches away. The dark time is gone. And it's yesterday I saw many of my neighbors carrying with them vodka to drink at home, or wine to drink at home, alcoholic things. They are carrying. It was showing. It's not that I assume it was really showing it, and this is the evening when people go and drink very much, and the schools have celebrate that they are soon out from the school, so it's very much drinking, and of course the police expect it to be much report. They need to be out and cleaning up. It have already been in the night. Have it been much fire of houses, and but I don't go out on that. But I did it before when I was younger, and it's these firecrackers and all kind of weird thing, and but I don't do it anymore, so I don't need to care for it. I expect it to be much noise and violence in the night, but that is okay if it stay there only one night and not coming into my home. But it's protected, so I am okay. And this is the last day of April 2022, and I am in Sweden, and I live in Sweden, and my main language is Swedish. But we have this who could speak English, the people that work for the government and in the local government also, that they need to could speak English. So it's our second language, like we say, but many in my age, older, that was born before 1950, they have hard with English. They don't know English so much. But of course, this is a harbor city, and they only scare away a bird. That's why it sounds like it sounds. But it's a harbor city, this, close to the Central Europe. So many, surprisingly, they know, they can speak English, or at least know English, because they have been on boats, working on boats. I have today. I have not got any answer because I know that people block me on Facebook for to read my posts because they be angry at me. They want to stay in their comfort zone and don't want me to say anything that is against their belief. They want me to read their post, but they don't want to read my post. But today I was thinking that I should see if I get an answer, because my question today, this morning, was that people are the Bible and the people preacher say that Jesus paid our sin. But by the way, the work he did on the cross, what work it was on the cross, this was a deadly weapon. He was killed of that weapon, the cross. And then I wrote, we don't know about Jesus' life between he was 12 years old when he disappeared from his parents. But in that time, when they were 12 years old, they were working. They were like adult. So that was not scaring that Jesus was not found, and he was in the temple, and the parents asked why he was there, and Jesus said that he needed to be where his father was. So and he was talking about those. He was talking to those people that was educated and could read and write in that time. It was not ordinary people that could do it. It's those leaders that did it. And so then after, we don't know. We only read when Jesus was about 30 years old. So in that time, normally they didn't live more than in the age of 45, around there was normal, if they were not of royals, nobles, those people that didn't need to do hard work. They could live longer and have all the food on the table. They could live longer. How can they say that Jesus paid our sin? Because the cross, what should he do? Jesus, he was on the cross and died. What could he do than to hang in there? Even if the thieves on the side of him mock him and say, if you are the Son of God, help yourself and take you down from the cross. And Jesus couldn't do that, because that was not for him to make decision of, and he had to do what he had to do because it was said like that. I'm thinking about myself now that I have not heard about me, about the end of my life. What I have heard, that is was from the start in year 2000. It was said that I should be a master of the four corner. And in that time I was working with a computer and was on the internet the whole time, and I was thinking I am a webmaster, so that's okay. But today I understand it, that a master of the four corners is the master of the whole world. The four corner is the world. Our planet is the four corner. It was said in the spirit, so it was not a worldly talking about the end of my life, if it's end, because it doesn't end life for many of us, that we continue to live. And those that is going into the meadow, they don't remember what was going on earth. They don't live as, it's wrong to say human, because they still live, but they are not involved with our life here on earth today. They have fun and enjoy and relax on this meadow, but those that is inside the New Jerusalem, they remember what was doing, and but they are not allowed to speak whatever they want to speak to us. That's God that decide what they are allowed to say, and we know it from Jesus, that he said that they should not tell people what they have done once, and that's what he talking about heaven. That I come to know these spirits because I do my family tree and find them there. So I know some of who they were, official. And so that's a question that I will see if someone answer me. And then it was this about, I have talked about the Virgin Mary. It's not the virgin that she have not had a man in her life. That is not what is talking about in the Bible. It's Virgin Mary she is a young woman that could have a baby. She could be pregnant, and normally is it in the teens, about that time, but then is it some special people that could be pregnant. I don't know if it was 8 years old or 5 years old, the youngest that have been pregnant. But that is very special. And those people that think they know everything, they assume that Virgin Mary was about 16 years old. So that was very old in that time. I was talking about Jesus when he was 12. They were out from school. They were working after age 12. My own mother, she ended her school when she was 12 years old, so it's in almost our generation it have been. At least the generation before us. And so my mother was educated more after she didn't start to work when she was 12. She go to another school. So that is what I have talked about, this with the Virgin Mary, that in Hebrew is it Alma, is the word for a young woman, and it's translated in English in wrong way. It's translated to virgin because they wanted to have this, those that interpret to the Bible. And I have already told you that King James Bible, it have wrong things when it come to the kings, because King James, he was king, and he wanted to write it like the king was more important than they were said it they were. He write them up a little higher up, the kings, because he was king. So there was his own interpret in that way. So when people say it's no error in the Bible, there is many error in the Bible, and I can read Swedish, Norwegian, Danish, German languages, and I have compare with the English Bible, and it's so very much different in the translation, and then it's depend on what version of the Bible you're reading, and if you compare with those old Bibles, then it's not the same as it is in those new versions. That is. So I tell you, even if I speak on my own, is more truth is to hear God talking in the air, and those spirits that have coming through and talk to me and talk to you, they have telling me and telling you things that we have not knew. They have taught us. They have teach us what's it's all about. They have told us the truth that we can't. Those things, many things that we can't read in the Bible about, or else it's there in the Bible, but people can't interpret those what it say in the Bible, because most people read the Bible literally and not in the spirit and truth. And you hear that Jesus says spirit and truth, and that's the spirits coming here, and they tell the truth. And it's sad that it's not many that receive these things. But I have said that also, that it's a little flock. It's not a big flock. It's the little flock that will know God and will come into the New Jerusalem. You don't need to have done great things that the newspaper is talking about, or that you have been on television, or you can only that you understand what I am talking about and what the spirits are talking about. If you really understand it and take it into your heart, then you are there inside the city, inside the New Jerusalem. I don't know the qualification for to be in the throne room with God, to sit with God. I don't know, to be those that is laying under the table and ask when, and those that is in the room. That I don't know the qualification, because I'm too humble to even go there. But I have got some visions that where I am in God and in the New Jerusalem. But I have learned from God to not take anything for granted. So I don't take anything for granted where I am in the New Jerusalem. It's in 1978, when I was up first time in heaven, that spirit that was with me when I saw the New Jerusalem in a far distance. And I say to this spirit that I wanted to go into the New Jerusalem, into those behind the walls that was around the New Jerusalem. I wanted to go in there. And the spirits told me in 1978 that it was not my time yet to do that. That is a little understanding where I'm going. Because he said that it was not time yet to go in there. But I should go in there in his saying. So that I know. And then we get, there is, first is it rooms outside the New Jerusalem's walls, but then is room inside the New Jerusalem, where there is spirits, angels that is telling us where to go. So I am not going to say that. I am only thankful to come into the New Jerusalem. That's okay. And I say always okay, because I take it, whatever is said and done to me. It's a defend. And that's Isaiah 7:14 is talking about the Virgin Mary. But it should say Mm, I think it should say Mary, but it say virgin. But the virgin in Hebrew and Greek is a young woman, and then it says the son should be, his name should be Immanuel, and that means God with us. So it is not saying exactly that is Mary and that is Jesus. It's saying that a young woman should be pregnant with someone with a boy that is called to be God with us. And God with us is not about God literally is walking with the people. It's that if it's Jesus or is it someone else that it's saying, because the baptized before Jesus, there, I forget his name, that baptized Jesus. He was the first one that was walking around and talking about God's kingdom, and he have people with him. He have followers with him, and John baptized, but John, and he had followers, and it was a group of people that was with him and listened at him, and then he baptized Jesus, and and uh, and Jesus was saying that John the Baptist, he was the first one that was walking around and talking about God's kingdom. But Jesus was the first one that received the Holy Spirit, the Spirit of God in him. And that's where it's saying God with us. That means God with a human, God with a person, God with a man. That what it means with Immanuel, that God with us doesn't mean that Jesus was God. It doesn't say so. It says only that God is with us. And that means that Jesus was around and walking around and talking about God's kingdom. And then he heard from God. That was the baptism of Jesus made him to could hear from God. He was the first one, but he is not the last one. There is many coming after Jesus that have heard from God. But he was the first one of God's children to hear. God had children before Jesus, but Jesus was the first one that could hear from God and talk to people about what God was saying to him. And I hear also, but I don't think I am the second one. I think that it's have been in every generation there have been at least one that hear from God, have heard from God. but it have not coming through like it have been with Jesus. But Jesus was not successful because he was cut off. He could have lived a longer life and speaking more. But like he said to the disciple that they couldn't take what he was saying, what he wanted to say more about what he know from God. He didn't do that. And that it's a spirit here that confirm what I'm going to say just now. They know it before I say it because they can read my mind. And I was thinking I should say this, that God, in that way, when Jesus said he couldn't say everything to his disciple, that also make him seal his future. It sealed him that what he was saying to the disciple, that like he gave up on the disciple and he gave up on himself to could tell the disciple. He failed to do it, and that in that way he sealed his destiny, because then God have no use for him here on earth. And that have I come to know because my mother-in-law. I have told about her, but I can tell a little about her. That when she was 12 years old when she was her parents died, so she had no home, and she come to a woman, evil woman, that make her lay in a children playhouse. You know, it have no windows. It have openings, but it doesn't have glass to hide the wind to come in, and maybe something to lock it in a little. But she was sleeping there in the winter time, and one evening she was freezing so very much, this little girl. She was never a big, tall woman, ever. And she lay in there and she was thinking, I am going to die. I'm going to freeze to death this night. So she was very cold, and she prayed to God and said, if you help me to come away from this situation and make me live over this night and get me some help. She was praying to God, and in that time it was not so much about Jesus. This with Jesus have coming more stronger lately. I was not thinking about Jesus as God when I was a child, because they don't speak like that, like they do today. So she was praying, and in the morning, it come a woman, passed by, and saw her laying there in this child house, and this woman took her home, and she even educate her. My mother-in-law, she go to school and come to know to be a nurse, and was working as a nurse, and then she prayed to God, if you help me out from this situation, I will serve you my whole life, she said. I will serve you for the rest of my life, she promised God. And what did she do? She only was baking bread and cookies to the church that she belonged to. That's what she did. And she gave birth to two sons, and she never bring them to the church. They didn't, when she died, they didn't know God. They didn't like God. They really was angry. They didn't wanted to know anything about God, because their mother have not taken them to the church and not have educated them or nothing. And so when I be pregnant with her first grandchild, she got cancer, and she believed that in that time, because she was in a church that was Jesus lover in the 1980s. And in the hospital, the doctor wanted to take away her ovary and take away the cancer that sit in the ovary. And my mother-in-law, she said that no, Jesus is coming and heal me. You don't need to do anything, because Jesus is going to heal me. And so, and last day she lived, I was to her bed, and she was so scared, and she knew that she is going to die, and it was very, very bad. It was so sad to see her, that faith she had in her God, in Jesus, it was gone away. It was only empty eyes I saw, eyes that was full of fear. And she said to me, "What will it be with you when I'm not here?" She was saying, very scared. And I know that I have always been kindly. I have always been loving person in my life. And I didn't know God. But I was thinking that I must say something that make her calm down and take away this fear I saw in her eyes, that Jesus had failed her and she's not going to be healed. She's going to die away from her first grandchild. My daughter was 7 months old when her grandmother died in cancer. And I said to my mother-in-law, I said to her that where you are coming, there you can look after us and take care of us. And I saw her eyes be calmed down, and I think she thought I believe in God, that someone in her family believing in Jesus. But that was on her to think like that. I was only there to comfort her and take away this fear in her eyes. And then 7 months, exactly the same 7 months after her death, first I say that she was holding in, that some people can do that when they are on their way to die. They can wait for someone to come into the room, and then they die. They can lay there and waiting and not die. And she didn't die. It was many young women that come into her room. They were laying in the same room because they were on the way to die. And those young women, they die. And then there's come a new woman and die like that, many. And she never died. And she have lain there for a long time. And then on that day when Jesus was on the cross and died, then that was the day she died. So she had been waiting for to die in the same time as Jesus died on the cross. So much was she into Jesus. And when I saw that and know that my child should not have a grandmother to play with and have love from, and that my mother-in-law have been in the church her whole life since she was 12 years old and doing things in the church. But that to make cookies for people to sit and drink coffee and talking in the church and come to the church only because they can drink coffee and eat nice cookies. She was very good in doing those cookies. It was very nice to come home to her and drink coffee and get cookies from her. But that was not what she had promised God. That was not what was in God's will. It was in her will. It was her to stay in good into what the priest wanted to see in her. It was not what God wanted to see in her. It was what that priest wanted her to do in the church. So it was like a punishment for her when she have just got her first grandchild, and she died. And when I saw this happen, that convinced me to not like God. I didn't. That is not God. It's not my God that do this to a person, because I didn't know him. What we should do. It's not about God to do things for us. It's what we are doing for God. That is what it is. And she didn't do anything for God. She do things for people, human, in worldly way. So that was very hard on me also in my thinking about God. But then is it that she had Jesus as God? That's why it didn't go so well, because she didn't know God. She thought she knew Jesus, but she didn't know Jesus either, because if you know Jesus, then you should know that He was walking around here on earth to talk about God's kingdom. He was not talking about himself. And it's so many churches, preachers that am talking about Jesus. And that was not what Jesus was on earth to do. It was to talk about God and make people come closer to God, the Father that he is saying, the Father God, Elohim, or whatever you have for a name for God, Yah, Elohim, El, Shema. He has so many names, but it's the same God. And Allah, in Arabic, is God is Allah in Arabic. So he have many names, and that is not Jesus. Jesus had God with him and talk like I do. And Hosea 4 and 6, he's talking about this people die. He's not talking about die in the body. They die in the spirit because they have no knowledge. The lack of knowledge. They don't really want to know the truth. What people want to know is what they want to know. And it's not the truth. They want to believe in a illusion. And the only what we have today to telling us the truth is the spirits. It's the spirits that, if we receive the spirits, we hear the truth. But it's so few that believe in spirits. They think that is demons and that is brain ghosts and mental issues. That's what the devil have told them to believe in. So they believe in that. So many people that in the church or in other institutions of religions, they believe in the devil more than they believe in God, because they listen to the devil and more than they listen to God. It's very sad, but it was the Spirit is here. He's very much on me, and to confirm he's saying he's burning. He is furious about this, that people listen more on the devil than on God's people. And it's so hard to learn you, to teach you, to say anything that is in the truth, because you are so stubborn into believing what the devil have told you from the start. When you were a child, you learn from the devil, and you still holding in. This is the Spirit talking. He's so angry, so it's hard to breathe. He's very angry about this, that you have been told of your parents, told in your school, told of those preachers. You have been go into a Catholic school and learn what they want you to understand, and that is not God's will. You have learned the devil's teaching. So he's very angry. He's so very angry. He's here, and he get me to see the Catholic Church. Oh, they have done so many evil things, not only about rape children, but also this, that they are taking away books that they have found, but they have put them in the basement, lock it in, so people should not know it, and they have changed the Bible, and it's he is very frustrated, and he said, you must go away from this stubborn mindset you have, that you have to come to be humble. He's saying you need to be humble to understand where you have got this from, that knowledge you got when you were a child. It's more clearly today that the devil is going for the children, but that is not what is going on today. It have going on the whole time since 325, the year 325 in Nicaea, when they were saying, and they say that Jesus should be God, that they changed the whole thing for so long time ago, in year 325, where the Emperor Constantine make those people to claim that Jesus was God, that was walking around on earth. And if people didn't agree to say that Jesus was God here, walking on earth, that they could touch and be with on earth, then they kill them. They go to kill. And they did that. They kill today also. It's dangerous. We live in the dangerous time and dangerous way to tell the truth about Jesus. It's not. I love Jesus because he did the same thing as me, that he was talking about God and God's kingdom. But it's what people have done to him and what people have done to us. It's not about Jesus. I love my Jesus. He's my DNA match. I love my DNA match. There is many Roman Empire. Not Constantine is my DNA match also. There is many Catholics in my DNA. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the events that have taken place, that have changed their mind of people, so they don't know God, the real God. And it's I am disturbed about it many times, but it go away from me. But all the time when I see those that claiming Jesus as God, I don't know how we could win over these people, to take away these people, to talk like they do, but I see also those people they are going away because they get illness and die. Today it's very many of those people that I had on Facebook, and sometimes I think that I have not seen any post from them, and then I check them out, and then they have died, and those have been Jesus lover, in that way that they believe Jesus to be God. So it changed, but just now is it that the Christianity is on its race. It gets more people, but as God have told me about this, that the devil is going to fight the devil in the end, because there is no place anymore to fight about when most of the world have been taken of the devil. The devil doesn't stop when he have got the victory like he see it. He have not got the victory, because we know the end of it, that he is going to fight himself, and I believe that the left side of God is the goat that sit on God's left side. Is the devil that sit on the left side of God, because the devil have started to fight against himself. He's going to kill his offspring, because he understands, suddenly he can understand that it's better to join the enemy than to fight against them. He's going to realize that, and it's going to be soon. That's what God have taught me, and he have told me about it. What will happen is not going to be empty on the left side of him, and I'm not sure that it's Jesus that sit on the right side. Maybe there is many that sit on the right side, but the one that sit on the left side is one, and it's the devil, because everything have coming out from him. The day when God cast him out from heaven, that day he start to spread here on earth, and he going to take them in, the offspring, to join him into the pit, and then God will tell him, you can come back to heaven, because you destroy all your offspring and close them into the pit, and you can come back to heaven. Because what I have come to know is that it's a circle, that now we are going back to Noah time. We are in the Noah time, in Sodom and Gomorrah time we are, and that was in the beginning of this world, and we are going back to the beginning, and the beginning was that God loved the devil very. He was the most loved of God, but as the devil knew God very much, because he wanted to be God. He wanted to stay over God and wanted to be God. And God cast him away from heaven and placed the devil here on earth. And as it is that we going back to the beginning was that God cast out the devil, the fallen angel. And now the fallen angel coming back to heaven. And in heaven, he will see what he have done on earth. He's going to be repent and come to sit with God again, as it was from the beginning. That's the end. And we have to wait for it to happen. That is going to be worse than what it is today, but it will stop. It will be stopped when the devil will see what he have caused here in the world, and then he have not got the victory. Still not the victory, even if he have done so much. He don't have the victory because God have all the control. So he gonna understand that one day that he can't be God, because there is only one God and he have all the control. So it's become a long episode now, because the Spirit is here, and I have to ask him if it's something he want to say before I close this episode. Oh, he come into me. Or did he walk away from it? Oh, I see what's happened. He was inside me and he walked out. Because I see him waving to me that he is on his way from here. So it was only that I felt him very strongly just when I should end here episode, but it was because he was on his way out from me that I felt that strong presence. So thank you for listening, and I hope you do like Mary did, pondering what you hear. And maybe you see something also. If you hold the door open, you maybe will get some eyes and ears to hear with from God. And I wish you could write me something, what's going on in your life when you listen at this podcast. If you see or hear something, if your life have changed because of this podcast, it should be very encouragement to get some note from you. I can't have open the message on my podcast, because there is so much commercial for drugs coming in. If I do that, it's much better to email me, and I write my email in the describing of this episode. So write me, please. Write me. God loves you, and I love you too.